Hey, sports card fans, it's John Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. This is season 2, episode 14, in which I choose my top 5 favorite cards of a particular player. At the end of last week's video, I spun the wheel of names and it landed on Vida Blue. Now, while Vida Blue is not a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, he has a very interesting background and career. So I'm going to read a little bit here about Vida Blue. Selected by the Kansas City A's in the second round of the 1967 MLB draft out of DeSoto High School in northwestern Louisiana, Vida Rochelle Blue Jr. made his debut at the age of 19 in 1969, the franchise's second year after moving to Oakland. While Blue only made 18 appearances, 10 starts, for the A's over his first 2 seasons, his dominance after being called up in September 1970 served as a preview of what was to come. 2 starts after throwing a one-hit shutout against the Royals in Kansas City, Blue took the mound at home against the Twins and tossed a no-hitter, striking out 9 and allowing only one batter to reach base on a 4th-inning walk. At 21 years and 55 days old, Blue remains the youngest player since the start of the live ball era in 1920 to throw a no-hitter. Blue's career took off in 1971 as he won the AL, Cy Young, and MVP awards after going 24-8 with a 1.82 ERA and 301 strikeouts over 312 innings. In doing so, he became the 5th player to win both awards in the same year and is the youngest ever to win an MVP in American or National League history. Blue went on to make 6 All-Star teams during a 17-year career that saw him spend time with the Giants and Royals in addition to the A's. A tremendous athlete, Blue played both baseball and football in high school, starring as a quarterback, and he was recruited to play the latter sport by several major colleges. However, after the death of his father during his senior year, he made the decision to pursue baseball, which would provide him with the opportunity to support his family sooner than football. Following his breakout season in 1971, Blue became embroiled in a contract dispute with A's owner Charles Finley, even going as far as stepping away from the game to take a job with a steel company. Blue and Finley eventually came to an agreement facilitated by Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, and the Southpaw made his return to the A's on May 24, 1972. Blue spent 9 seasons with the A's, winning 3 straight World Series titles and earning 3 All-Star selections before being traded across the bay to the Giants during spring training in 1978. San Francisco sent 7 players and $300,000 to Oakland for the Southpaw. Blue earned 3 more All-Star selections with the Giants, including the starting nod for the National League in 1978. Blue, who also started the All-Star game twice as a member of the A's, became the first pitcher to start the All-Star game for both leagues. Blue finished his career with a 209 and 161 record, a 3.27 ERA, 2,175 strikeouts, 143 complete games, and 37 shutouts over 3,343 and a third innings. He topped out at 8.7% on the Baseball Writers ballot for the Hall of Fame in 1993, and he was inducted into the A's Hall of Fame in 2019. All right, so to help me narrow down the cards that I had to choose from to pick my top 5 favorite Vida Blue cards, I went with the PSA Basic Topps Set Registry Checklist. It's 16 cards from his 1970 rookie card to his final Topps card, his 1987 Topps card. So here's where I would love all of you to participate as well. In the description of this video, I'll have a link to the PSA Basic Topps Set Registry Checklist for Vida Blue. And from those 16 cards, we'd love to know in the comments which are your top 5 favorite cards of his. And beyond those 16 cards, if there are some other cards that you really like of Vida Blue, feel free to put them in the comments as well, and I'll have them as honorable mentions. And for your top 5 favorite, if you could number them 1 through 5, 5 through 1, it'll help me compile the results for next week's video. Now, before I get into my top 5 favorite Vida Blue cards, last week's video was on Phil Niekro, and there were a few of you who put in the comments letting me know which were your top 5 favorite cards of his. So I'm going to start things off with going over the results from last week's video, see how your general top 5 matches up with my top 5 favorite cards of Phil Niekro. Then I'll get into my top 5 favorite Vida Blue cards. Now, since my collection mainly is focused on cards of Hall of Famers, I don't have any Vida Blue cards in my collection, so we'll skip that section that I normally do, and then finish things off with spinning the wheel of names again to see which player will be the focus for next week's video. So, let's get started. All right, for Phil Niekro, you had 24 cards to choose from his PSA Basic Topps Set Registry checklist, starting with his 1964 Topps rookie card to his final 1987 Topps card. All right, we had 6 of you reply in the comments, and I really appreciate the participation for those of you who watch these videos and enjoy these videos. I know I have some repeat watchers who always give me their top 5 list and really appreciate that. So out of the 6 responses, here are the top cards that were selected or voted on. There's a bit of a 3-way tie here for first with his 1967 Topps card, then his 1969 Topps card, and his 1980 Topps card. Each had 3 selections, and then his 1965 Topps card, sort of a second rookie card, if you will, and his 1972 Topps card each had 2 selections. Now, there were several Phil Niekro cards that didn't get any selections. Again, we only had 6 responses in the comments, but his 1966, 70, 71, 73, 78, 79, 82, 85, and 86 Topps cards. All right, there were some honorable mentions listed as well in the comments. We had 5 of them here, starting off with his 1970 Topps Super, then his 1979 Hostess, his 1980 Topps Burger King issue, which has the same image as the regular Topps card. Then following that with his 1989 Pacific Legends, and finally the 1989 Swell. All right, so as for the 5 top cards that you had in the comments, how did that match up with my top 5 favorite? Well, there's a pretty big difference between your consensus top 5 and my top 5, which I really like to see. It just shows people's differing opinions on which cards they may be interested in over others. But at number 5, you had his 1969 Topps card, which I did not have in my top 5, followed by his 1967 Topps card, which I also did not have in my top 5. At third was his 1972 Topps card, which I had as my 5th favorite. In second place, you had his 1965 Topps card, which was another card I did not have in my top 5. But between your 6 comments and my top 5, the general consensus was the favorite Phil Niekro card is his 1980 Topps card. All right, on to Vida Blue. Again, we're looking at 16 cards from his Topps Set Registry checklist, 1970 to 1987 Topps. And I have to admit, looking through those 16 cards, there weren't a whole lot of cards that really spoke to me, or I said, wow, that's a really cool card. Some of the images of Vida Blue on the cards are basic sort of portrait posed shots, very little action shots, but I came up with my top 5 favorite here. So starting off at number 5, I went with his 1972 Topps card. This was the first year of the 3-year run of the A's winning the World Series. Love that old Oakland uniform. Again, the image of Vida Blue himself, nothing extraordinary about it, but I think the color scheme with the red offsetting with the green in the A's uniform just makes for a nice combination and a pretty good looking card there for Vida Blue. So 1972 Topps is my 5th favorite. At number 4, I went with his 1974 Topps, sort of the end of the 3-year run for the A's winning the World Series. And like the color scheme, of course, you have the top and bottom banner there in blue, the sort of wraparound border there in yellow, matching the A's uniform, and that sort of smile smirk that Vida has in that image there. I think it's sort of a lighthearted image. So overall, I like that one a little bit more than the 72. All right, at number 3, I decided to go with the card from his Cy Young and MVP season, his 1971 Topps card. Again, that smile there with of white Vida Blue, and it almost looks, it's a pose sort of, pitching image there, but also looks like he's just waving hi to you. So I just thought that was an interesting card there. Most likely, I think Yankee Stadium in the background. Again, that great A's uniform from the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. And yeah, I just think with the black border of the 71 Topps card matched with that image, I think it's just a great overall card of Vida Blue. At number 2, I went with his 76 Topps card. Nothing super special about this one. Again, I like the design of the 76 Topps set and the color scheme and the AL All-Star pitcher star in the corner as opposed to the little outline of the pitcher in this case, since he's a pitcher, the little icon there at the bottom. I really like the cards from the 76 set with that All-Star star in the bottom. Again, you have that great color match with the two borders down at the two banners down there at the bottom. And again, not a great necessarily picture of Vida Blue, but just overall, I think it's a great looking card. And at number 1, this one to me is by far his best card. We'll see what you think in the comments, but I went with his 1973 Topps card. That in-action shot almost directly behind the catcher. Maybe it's off a little bit, but he's in the middle of his windup there, coiling there to release the ball. You can see, of course, being a left-handed pitcher, looks like he's playing the Minnesota Twins. I believe that's the Twins, maybe the home uniform. It looks like that's an away A's uniform there. So I think that is just a great looking card. It's not a close-up image of Vida Blue, but you get just a momentary picture there of that action where he's ready to throw the pitch and see what happens. So yeah, my favorite Vida Blue card is his 1973 Topps card. All right, again, since I don't have any Vida Blue cards to show off, let's get to the wheel of names, give it a spin, and see what player it selects. Okay, here is the wheel of names. We have 26 names remaining. There's a quick shot of them. Let's see if we can choose a non-pitcher this time. The last 3 videos have been on pitchers, but we'll see here. Let's give it a spin. And next week's video is going to be on Keith Hernandez. All right, great first baseman, had an MVP in 1979, shared it, I believe, with Willie Stargell. Great defensive first baseman, a key to the 1986 Mets World Series team. So this is going to be fun going through Keith Hernandez's cards to see which are my top 5 favorites. So final reminder, in the comments, would love to know which are your top 5 favorite Vida Blue cards. And with that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.